Hi everybody, Feltheleb here. Normally for my videos, I make a script and I write the script as I'm gathering evidence for an argument that I want to make. In this video, I just kind of wanted to rant about some very minor controversies, if you can even call them that are stemming from some of the things that have been happening in the D&D sphere recently, namely the D&D movie Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, as well as the recent announcement of 1 D&D. I'm not really going to be addressing the whole of both of those issues, just some very minor things that I've seen people talking about that I wanted to just add my 2 cents on. I've been gone for a little bit, and I haven't had the time, I guess, to commit to these things because I don't really think they're super important. Plus, I've been out, like I said, I went to Gen Con recently, got to meet a lot of really fun creators there. So this is just going to be a short little video about me ranting about, like I said, some very minor controversies. I'll say D&D Honor Among Thieves looks really fun. I don't think it's going to be the quintessential love letter to Dungeons & Dragons that a lot of people were hoping for, but there's a lot of promise from everything I've seen in the trailer. They've got mimics, displacer beasts, owlbears, which I'll get to, and then the party seems pretty cool. It's played by a lot of really fun actors. I like that they made Chris Pine the bard as sort of the leader of the group. I don't know. I think it's going to be fine. I don't really understand where a lot of the trepidation comes in from a lot of the takes that I've seen on it recently, but there are some things I want to discuss. I've seen online people say that the party as it's represented in the movie is not representative of how parties are in the game that people play at their tabletops, which to me is ridiculous. Number one, the most OCs that people make statistically are humans, elves, and half-elves. After that is, I think, Dragonborn and then Tieflings. And I see people saying that it's not representative. You all have been playing 5e too much, and I know that you're at the point where your characters are insanely varied, but most people play the characters that look like humans. And I think that this movie will do fine with a group that looks mostly human. You can also look at the success of other D&D parties Critical Role to determine that you don't need an extremely varied, wild-looking party to have people identify with the characters. That's kind of what D&D has always been about. So I think, yeah, you're going to be just fine with having humans, half-elves, and a tiefling. And speaking of a tiefling, people have been saying that this actress doesn't look like a tiefling, or they weren't sure that this was a tiefling. Let's be very clear about something. I understand wanting to have the quintessential tiefling from the player's handbook, or what it is that you guys really want to say, which is you want Jester from Critical Role. Rules as written, this person looks like a tiefling. Tieflings can have human-colored skin. They don't need to have enormous horns. This character has a tail. She's a tiefling, just not the one that you're used to, or the one that people usually depict themselves as. To say that she is not a tiefling, or that they're or human-washing tieflings just is not the case. This person, as they're represented, fits with the 5e description of what a tiefling looks like. I'm not going to touch the fact that she is a tiefling druid that kind of has passing resemblance to a Critical Role character. I'm not touching that one here. But she is a druid, which leads me to the biggest controversy that people have talked about, the fact that she turns into an owlbear. From what I can see, specifically kind of turning into an owlbear, like a snowy owlbear, people were quick to point out that an owlbear in D&D 5e in the Monster Manual is a monstrosity, not a beast, and wild shape only allows you to turn into beasts. But is this really the argument you want to make? Because this is how I feel about the owlbear transformation. One, you could not ask for a more inoffensive monster from the Monster Manual to become a beast. It's just a low CR monster, and it doesn't have any special abilities. It pretty much is a beast for all the reasons that the Wizards of the Coast made you only pick beasts for the wild shape mechanic. And also, I'm not sure that Wizards is sure that the owlbear is a monstrosity. It seems pretty sure when you read the monster manual, but if you look at the ecology section of the owlbear's description, you can see that they kind of put it in really vague terms. They're like, maybe it was created by a wizard, but also maybe it was like a fey beast. I think that's a reference to the different ecologies that owlbears have had in different editions. Like in first edition, they said the same thing, like, this was probably created by a wizard, but we don't know. Also in, I think, 4th edition, they were just like fey beasts from the Fey Wild. Regardless, we know a lot through the different books about owlbears, about their ecology, how they give birth, their like mating seasons, how territorial they are. And to me, that just kind of screams like everything that we know about other beasts can be applied to owlbears. So like, why couldn't you have your druid turn into an owlbear? I'm not even talking about rule of cool, which of course applies. I'm just saying like, this is a beast. This is a beast anyway, and they put it in the monstrosity section, I think just because they wanted to preserve the legacy of it all, but it's a beast. This is a beast. 1 DnD came out, DnD 5.5. Honestly, people have been arguing about whether or not D&D is truly going to go editionless with 1 DnD, or whether or not this is a new edition. I think they've been really clear about what they want to do, which is they're making a lot of money off of 5e, and they really don't want to lose people by putting out a new edition. So I think what they're gonna do, which has been clear by the new sort of playtest supplement that came out, is they're just gonna update things and call it D&D. And they've been doing that for a while now for 5e, and that's what it's gonna be. It's 5e.XX. It's 5e point whatever the new edition is as 1 DnD develops. And I know people are frustrated by that. If you want to call it a new edition, go ahead and call it a new edition. But from here on out, at least unless things change for Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast financially, D&D 5e is what we have. So in that sense, I do believe that they are going to go quote unquote editionless, as they stated. Whether or not this is going to be a good thing for D&D remains to be seen. I've sort of always been of the opinion that in terms of people playing the game and getting new, varied types of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, 5th edition has been the best thing to happen to Dungeons and Dragons, at least when you look at it in those terms. It's the most successful it's ever has been. And so Hasbro is going to keep that up as long as they can. I just can only hope that there are some good things that come out of that. Looking at the new supplement, here's what I'll say. My most favorite thing, the shift of the spell lists to being 3 different spell lists, Arcane, Divine, and Primal, I think. My least favorite thing is a D20 automatically succeeds and a D1 automatically fails in all, a 1, nat 1, and a nat 20 automatically fail and succeed in all contexts. Absolutely ridiculous thing, in my opinion. It, I think, forces DMs to have to be really clear about when they want to make an ability check. I think there are some really good reasons for why a DM might want to have a check and have his players roll when you know that the players can't succeed. I might save that topic for another video. But regardless, I don't think it's a good idea to have that be the base rule. That all being said, like I imagine a lot of 1 DnD will be, it's an easy shift to just change things to how they were previously or how you want them to be. There hasn't been a lot of talk about this, I'm not sure, but I have seen some people talking about like tieflings, specifically the fact that tieflings were changing to where the people of the multiverse, the humanoids of the multiverse, are not considering the tieflings as sort of an inherently untrustworthy or evil race based only on their looks, because famous tieflings the multiverse across have done heroic deeds. That seems like a very obvious transition as the lore of the world progresses, and yet some people are like mad that that is the case, as if the tieflings being distrusted is something that is inherent to who they are, which doesn't make any sense to me. Because once again, there's always going to be consequence and change in stories as they progress, and it seems like the new way that Wizards is going with this makes a lot of sense, as I'm sure it's going for a lot of the different race changes that will be happening in 1 DnD. This all being said, if you want to explore discrimination in your D&D game, it doesn't make you a bad person. By all means, go ahead and do that. But don't act like they have to keep tieflings the way they are. It was very weird that they made it to where the default was you have to be discriminatory against tieflings based on how they look. I get that it's an interesting story thing to explore, but in my experience, a lot of people don't want to explore that aspect of it. So you can just not have it in your game. It's fine. Just add in the discrimination if you want. That is all that I have for you guys right now. Thank you so much for listening. You'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming with me doing more focused rants about D&D stuff in the future. But thank you so very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.